So I'm with Jim May, the chairman of Sussex Cricket Club. First of all, Jim, we're sitting in the boardroom overlooking the outfield, and let's start with that because obviously lots of work going on here.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, first of all, Adrian, yes, we have invested quite a lot of money in terms of redoing the outfield since the season ended. It's looking good and green just now. The prime driver for that is to improve drainage and trying to ensure that we have as much cricket as possible next year. The next thing in terms of ground redevelopment is we've just put in planning permission to Brighton Hove City Council to build 6 business units in the northeast corner. The whole reason for that is to try and drive more all year round revenue, and if it gets approved, I think it will be good for the local business community, and it will also physically tidy up that end of the ground. So a lot going on.
Let's sort of wind the clock back a little bit. I was talking to Mark Robinson, and I spoke to Mark at the end of last season at Northamptonshire. We were talking about players and what might happen budget-wise for this season, and it's been a terrific sort of pre-Christmas period for the club, really, with pretty much everybody re-signing, and some new players as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we had a really hard look at our budget this year, and here I've got to say, the whole reason we've been able to make what is actually quite a significant investment in both our cricketing staff, but also in our coaching staff, getting John Lewis on board as well, is because the business is going well. And full credit to Zach and everybody here. We've got our auditors in at the moment, so I can't sort of actually nail down the exact result for our year ending October 2014, but I do know that we'll record an operating profit, which is a better performance than the prior year, despite the fact that in 2013 the Australians were here. So there's a lot of hard work going on from all sorts of people around the club. In particular, 2 areas that are growing well. One is commercial income, both sponsorship and business users, and that's with Tony Cotty and his team. And the other area is that in catering revenue, where we're increasing our non-match income at about 15% per annum, and so we've got a growth there, and our margins have improved whilst we're retaining very good quality and a great reputation here. And indeed, since the year end, we've invested further by recruiting a new guy to promote that side of the business, and we set up a new venue website called www.countygroundsussex.co.uk. I'm sure you'll be looking at it every day. But the main point is we're really quite serious about developing our income, because like any sports club, we only get money from sports events, cricket matches very few days a year. So in order for us to compete with the big counties, the Surreys, the Warwickshires of the world, we need to make sure that Sussex is a really strong business.
And Sussex supporters will be delighted to know, therefore, that money coming into the game is actually finding its way into the playing budget as well.
Oh, this is absolutely it. We're not here just to build some sort of business empire. It's all about cricket, and not just the professional side. We're also extremely keen at developing, the wider game, because really, I think the big point is that cricket has to fight for airspace against planet football. So there's lots of areas of growth. Another encouraging thing is we've had a copy of the ECB Academy evaluation for 2014 compiled by David Graveney, who is in charge of that. And I'm delighted to say that Sussex came #1 Academy in that evaluation, both in terms of how we perform and also our conversion rate into cricketers. And another interesting thing here is that out of the 18 counties, there are only 8 women were on this programme, of which 3 were from Sussex. And that shows a great commitment to us beyond the professional game. And indeed, just sort of, if I may digress for a second, I think the whole growth of women's and girls' cricket is a significant opportunity for the game of cricket. And next year, I'm delighted to say that at the end of August, we've got a floodlit T20 Ashes match here, the England women against the Australian women, and we're really looking forward to that. So, yeah, there's lots of things going on. Obviously, the pro squad, for every right reason, will have nearly all the profile, but there's an awful lot of people working at Sussex Cricket in all sorts of places just to try and strengthen the whole of cricket.
There was much concern last year, Jim, about the new fixture list and how that might impact on corporate hospitality. How would Friday night T20 work out? But from what you're saying, if the club are going to make an operating profit, it would seem perhaps not as bad as some might have feared.
Yes and no, Adrian, in honesty. The fixture list didn't particularly suit us. Again, it's really difficult to try and get something that suits everyone. And in fairness to the ECB, the fixture list for the last year, and indeed for the 2015, was reached out after a lot of market research. But our experience of Sussex, just talking parochially about our county, was that the fixture list did not help us in this regard. First of all, having county championship matches on Sunday meant that a lot of the corporates were not attracted to entertaining on the Sunday or Monday. And secondly, we felt that the T20 matches were started off far too early. Indeed, we had our by far our biggest crowds later on. So my own view is I would much prefer play the T20. Well, indeed, it's a club view that we'd rather have the T20s played as a block. But going into 2015, we're going to have a similar fixture pattern from 2014. With some exceptions, and in fairness, the ECB have listened to some of the points we've made. So, for example, we've got a county championship match at Hove in August, whereas last year we had this barren spell, and some of our bigger potential gates for T20, like against Surrey, are being played later in the season. So, our good business results last year were, in fact, despite the fixture list, rather than because of it. But despite that, I remain an optimist. It's kind of slightly in the nature of the beast.
But just rewinding on to the previous question as well, Jim, but good news to make an operating profit from what was, I understand, a lost position last year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's really because of, say, a lot of hard work across the piece, but particularly on the commercial side, where we got two fantastic new sponsors in P&H and Joint and Technology. And also we had great support from the Sussex business community. The other piece I would say to you is that our two outground festivals at Horsham and Arundel, whilst we didn't get great corporate support, the weather was fantastic and we got wonderful crowds, so that was a big help to us. And we have decided to play again at Horsham and Arundel in 2015.
Right, that was going to be my next question. So I guess Arundel was one. It's a tradition, cricket being played at Arundel. Horsham perhaps less so. You must be delighted that's going to happen.
Well, it's a really difficult balancing act, to be quite honest with you, because we have people that would also like us to play in East Sussex. So, for example, Eastbourne are lobbying quite hard. And also, when you've invested £10 million in Hove, then there is an argument for saying we should play more games here to get a return on our investment. But equally, we do recognise that we've got a bit of a duty, we believe, to play cricket outside of Brighton and Hove. But what we've done is we've more or less adopted a three-part test. The first point is, are the wickets good enough? And there has been some criticism about Arundel, and indeed, in fairness to the Friends of Arundel Castle Cricket Club, they have made an investment in improving the wickets there, which is great news. So test one is, are the wickets okay? Horsham's an excellent wicket, Arundel's a bit of a slow one. Second thing, are the facilities good enough, for the players in terms of practice and various other things? And again, Arundel is a really glamorous place, but actually we did get some feedback that facilities for spectators, particularly at crowded matches, aren't as good as they could be. And the third piece is whether we make a business. So it's almost a three-part hurdle. And whilst perhaps we haven't got every box ticked in everything, we're working in real partnership with the people at Arundel and Horsham. Really good people. They're running both those clubs. And we're all determined to make the thing work. And I think you'll find our commercial teams working closer with these cricket clubs to try and make sure 2015 is more successful than 2014.
And finally, finishing up on the fixtures then, Jim, so 2 festival fixtures, but in general, are the club happy with the structure of the fixtures going into next summer?
We are happier than we were for 2014. I still, personally, am not over enamoured with the current structure. I think, we play an awful lot of county championship matches very early in the season when the weather isn't too great and it's not very good for spinners. And then, with in the middle of the season, we've got these sort of series of one-day matches, and if you do not get through into the further rounds of either the T20 and or the Royal London 50 Over Cup, you can have great spells when you're not playing cricket. So I think we've got to look to try and reschedule the season from 2016. And interesting in that context, there's a big strategy meeting being held by the ECB in the middle of January, the chairman, when we're looking at all sorts of things afresh, of which the domestic structure is but one part. But I hope that we've got, we can persuade our colleagues, other counties, and the ECB to look afresh at the structuring, because I don't think we're optimising or maximising on the great potential there with domestic cricket.
I was going to say, are you a lone voice, Jim, or some of your colleagues in other counties agree with you?
I think the truth is, people have mixed opinions, but I think there are quite a few people that would like to see T20s to blocks, but others think they should work on Friday nights. So there's a bit of a disagreement there. But I think we all believe that we should try and have our prime cricket when the weather's really good. And I think the 50 over in the middle of the summer hasn't particularly worked. But we'll wait and see what others have to say.
You spoke about how well the business is going off the pitch with the work that Zach Tomasi and his team are going. It's been going well on the pitch, and Mark Robinson is a coach who's clearly very in demand. I mean, he was clearly on the selection process for England last year. Are you concerned about how well Mark's regarded? Is that sort of a strange question?
No, I think it's a very fair question. I mean, first of all, I'm delighted that he's under the radar, and in fact, I think we're very proud that a lot of people from Sussex have gone on to do well. Pete Moores was obviously a very good example. Left us for the academy, then got the England job, and is now back again in the England job. We no way do we ever want to hold back people in their careers. So I'm delighted. It would not surprise me if Mark goes on to a bigger job with our praise and thanks at some stage. But in the meantime, it's great for us to have him here. As you say, he's the Lions coach in the winter. We've got Carl Hopkinson, who's working with the England team currently in Sri Lanka. Mark Davis was shortlisted for the Sri Lankan coaching job last year. John Lewis, I think, will become a very accomplished coach. Everybody's very impressed with him as a man as well as a cricketer. And in Keith Greenfield, we've got what we believe is the best academy director. So I think we've got a really strong cadre of coaches here. And I think, again, be careful tempting fate, but I think one of the reasons that Sussex has been pretty successful over the last few years is we've had a great deal of continuity. I think you'll find in lots of sports there's a really quick hiram and fire'em mentality, and I think if you're going to be successful, then hopefully we're digging in for a long term and not just sort of spinning on the top every year.
And actually, I guess when you're talking about succession planning, and we're not saying Mark's going anywhere, but you've mentioned some names there of people who might be ready-made to pick up the mantle. Well,
we'll see. I mean, one wouldn't want to preempt that, but I think we've got quality people here, and if and when Mark moves on, then they may well fancy themselves. But obviously, whoever's in the board at the time, the chief exec, will have their view as the best way to handle the situation.
So that's very much.
I've rather sort of set on the fence, haven't I?
We're talking about the first team and matters. Lots else going on at Sussex though, in terms of women's cricket and academy cricket and disability cricket as well.
Yeah, we've got a big community programme, and we've kind of relaunched that with a brochure this year. I believe there is a big role for cricket and for sport generally. In terms of helping enhance people's lives through sport. I think already Albion in the community do a terrific job, and I think we do a similar job, probably a bit more under the radar. But I think, without getting political, that with the changes taking place, no matter what government comes in to run the country, there seems to be some pressure on public expenditure. And I think that sport can be a very cost-effective way of working with educational bodies and health bodies in terms of delivering really good opportunities for young people, disabled people, older people, and so on and so forth. And we're determined to do a lot more work in that field. We've already got a good offering, but I think there's much more we can do. And I think it's true of cricket generally. It's a point I've been making to the ECB.
And actually looking ahead to next summer, Jim, there's no World Cup, there's no Olympic Games. What we do have next summer is the Australians come to town. And I just wonder whether it's a real opportunity for cricket to really sort of dominate the back pages and really put cricket in the forefront of sport next summer.
I think that's a great point. Absolutely right. I think Australians comes always a flagship year for us. The Australian women playing here, not the men, sadly, but I agree with you, and hopefully. I think it's our job to inspire people. We want cricketers to go out there and really make the headlines for the right reasons, unlike perhaps a certain well-known batsman. But I think it's a great opportunity for cricket to reclaim the summer in 2015, and we at Sussex are going to do our part in that.
And there's the same question I asked to Mark Robinson, 3 months to go. I mean, I guess yours is a year-round job, but you sort of look forward to getting the next few dark months out of the way and looking forward to the grass being mowed and the
Yeah.
smell of cricket in April.
Absolutely. Again, I realise that matches are won on the pitch rather than off the pitch, but I think we've got a really strong-looking squad for next year, and given a fair degree of wind, I hope we'll do really well. I certainly think we will play very exciting cricket, and the more people come and watch us, that people are very welcome.